Hello, my beautiful friend. It's Betsy Gutting. Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about the Mercury retrograde in Gemini and Taurus, May 10th through June 2nd. And if you count in the pre-retrograde shadow period and the post-retrograde integration shadow period, the dates are actually April 27th through June 19th. So that's quite a stretch of time. And you may be wondering, a lot of us, when we hear the words Mercury retrograde, we cringe. We're like, no, not another one of those. No, my computer, my devices, my flight plans, no. We get really nervous because Mercury, the messenger, the divine messenger, it rules transportation. So that's like where we drive, where we fly to. It also rules technology, so it is our devices, and it rules communication. And often we do have miscommunications during a Mercury retrograde time. So of course, our egos are going to, be a little nervous when we hear the words Mercury retrograde. But what I want to tell you, and you might also be wondering, why are we having a Mercury retrograde right after the new moon solar eclipse in Taurus? The new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, where we are and were seeding new intentions, seeding new possibilities for a life upgrade, for a wishes fulfilled, for a whole new chapter of life. What a beautiful time. Taurus, all about abundance and pleasures and creating more security and stability for ourselves. And then we have a Mercury retrograde come in right after that. And so I want to talk with you about how we can see this from a whole different vantage point, what Mercury retrograde is really for on a deeper level, the themes that will be coming up with Gemini and Taurus. And I have a story for you, probably my most favorite Mercury retrograde story. I'll be pulling a card for us, a tarot card from the beautiful Motherpeace deck. And for those of you who are new to me, I want to say hi. I'm Betsy Gutting. I'm an intuitive life coach as well as a psychic astrologer. And I love helping you to connect to your heart, to connect what it is you want most, to help you to be your creative champion, to be your believing mirror, to be that person who helps you move through transformation and create what you want in the world. So if you would like to have a personal astrology reading with me or dive into soul alchemy coaching with me, I will leave the links below in the description box to my website, and you can learn all about those offerings. And I also have a gift for you. I have a free gift for you. I will tell you all about it at the end of the video, so be sure you stay tuned for that. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, Mercury retrograde happening in Gemini and Taurus. First, the logistics. Mercury will be in Gemini starting at 4 degrees and move backward, retracing its steps back to 0 degrees between May 10th and May 23rd. Then, between May 24th and June 2nd, Mercury will go from 29 degrees back to 26 degrees of Taurus. And you might want to look back to April 27th. What was happening for you on April 27th? Because that's when Mercury went into its pre-shadow phase. And what pre-shadow is a foreshadowing, just as it sounds. It's a foreshadowing of what we often are going to be working with during a Mercury retrograde time. On April 27th, I was receiving my computer back in the mail, my laptop, after it had been completely wiped clean and a whole new logic board installed. And I was stressing out a bit on trying to load my email and all those things that I had to put back on my computer. So Mercury retrograde is famous for device issues, electronics, and I dealt with that. So you might want to look at what you were dealing with on April 27th. What was the theme for you? Now, if you have planets or points between 26 degrees of Taurus and 4 degrees of Gemini, 26 degrees of Taurus and 4 degrees of Gemini in your natal astrology chart, you will feel this Mercury retrograde more intensely. It will be working with you more personally. So even though we associate Mercury retrograde with these themes of transportation, of technology, of communication, and it definitely applies to all of those things. In the bigger picture, what's happening during a Mercury retrograde? We are refining, we are retuning, we are rebooting, we are resetting. We are going back and looking at, retracing our steps and looking at what needs help. It highlights where we've procrastinated on something, and it basically puts our feet to the fire to deal with things that we often don't want to deal with. It's also a time that we're really polishing our edges, that we're seeking clarity, we're seeking wisdom on something. It's a time when we're really going inward and we're looking at what we really want. Now let's talk about the themes that will come up for all of us, whether or not you have planets or points in the late degrees of Taurus or the early degrees of Gemini. All of us will be feeling these themes during this Mercury retrograde period. First of all, Gemini. Mercury will be retrograde in Gemini for 13 of the days that it is retrograde. Gemini is the home sign for Mercury. That means that there's a certain ease, a certain flow. Mercury, we say, likes to be in its home sign. It's where it's most comfortable. Gemini is all about communication. It is the communicator. I have Mercury in Gemini. A lot of Mercury and Gemini people, they're writers, they're presenters, they're poets, they're people who like to express through thoughts, through words. So it's also a very social energy. You may find your social life picking up during this time. We just want to be aware that it's very easy to have miscommunications with our social partners during this time. So if someone is not responding to you, know that there may be delays, but also follow up with that person. It's a really important time to be sensitive to the fact that communication can be wonky during this. We can make assumptions that aren't true during this time. So it's very important. I think it's important to be extra sensitive to whoever we're communicating with, and better to double check, better to follow up more than once. This is a time that we, as we say, dot our I's and cross our T's, and we try our best to pay attention to details. Gemini is very detail oriented, but during a Mercury retrograde, our perceptions shift. We leave that sort of logic brain and we go more into the intuitive brain. The beauty of that is that we can feel more creative, and Gemini is a very creative energy. We can want to create more art during this time. It's a very spontaneous energy. It's flexible. So it's a time that the more flexible we can be, the more sort of open to new possibilities. It's an open energy. It's open-minded. It's curious. It's like we're being asked to be the kid again. We're asked to come back to our inner child and really ignite the playfulness in us. Isn't that good news? A lot of us just haven't had enough playfulness in our lives for a while. So this is a time to take really good care of your inner child, to time to allow yourself to do something different than you normally do, to bring more variety into your life if that feels good to you. Gemini is an adventurous sign. It will take risks. This energy will encourage you to take a risk, to have an adventure, to learn something new. You may find yourself doing more things twice than you normally do. That's annoying. I know it's annoying, but with Gemini energy, Geminis often have to do things twice. So all of us are in this energy. All of us may feel like we have to have do-overs. But the good news about that is that you might have a do-over with a relationship. You might have someone come back into your life that was a friend or a lover or a significant person in your life, or that wasn't and you want to be a significant person in your life now. You may have them come back into your life. It could be someone from a past life too. So Gemini rules the third house of the zodiac. The third house is neighbors, siblings. It's all your local environment. It's all the things that you do in your immediate environment. And so again, you might find yourself having more conversations with the sibling, or reuniting with the sibling, or having more stuff going on with your neighbors. It's very possible that you'll feel more busy, that you'll be having more errands to do, that again, it's like taking care of business, sending things to the repair shop, returning things to the store. It can be a lot of like little things. Make lists. Like this is, maybe you're a list maker already. If I didn't make lists, I would go crazy. Like this is a list making time, if there was ever a time. Gemini is also the lovers. It's the lovers card in the tarot deck. Gemini loves romance. Gemini loves to love. And this is a good segue into Taurus energy, which is going to be 9 days of this retrograde, because Taurus also loves to love. Taurus also loves romance. Taurus is all about sensuality and being in a body. So I think it's safe to say that a significant number of us are going to really want to be in a relationship during this time where we can enjoy things like, you know, getting together, eating together, making love, like all of those wonderful things that we, you know, the whole reason that probably we agreed to come down to earth and be in these bodies was that we were going to get some of this good, yummy stuff as a reward, right? Lord knows that the whole spiritual journey is not for the faint of heart. I often joke that it is because of the food and the kisses that I came here. So I hope I'm not revealing too much of myself in this video. Taurus is a different energy from Gemini in this way. Taurus seeks security and stability, where Gemini wants to go out and explore and have freedom and be flexible and spontaneous. Taurus wants to know that its roots are deep in the center of the ground and there are things it can count on. It's a building energy. And if you've been listening to my videos recently, you know that we are all in this time of creating stability and security for ourselves. We are all in a time where we are focused on things like money and finances, and, you know, where are we getting our immediate needs met? Taurus seeks to build security. And this is a really interesting point about this retrograde. Taurus will be at 26 degrees for 10 days, 26 degrees for 10 days. So that tells you that the 26 degree point is really where the universe, spirit, source, God is wanting us to concentrate in that frequency, that vibration. That's what we're working with. So what is 26 degrees, you may be wondering? 26 degrees in numerology reduces to a number 8, which is about success, abundance. It's about beauty. It's about power. Success, abundance, beauty, and power. This is where our focus may be. It's the physical body. It's when we're attracted to other people, when you're like, oh my gosh, that person's really attractive. I really think they're beautiful. That's the number 8. The 2 and the 6 that add up to the number 8 are about connecting with other people. That's the 2. It's creating intimacy. The 6 is harmony, it's love, it's pleasure, it's feel good. So love, romance, success, abundance, all of those beautiful things are going to be a place where we are all going to be focused for a good part of this retrograde. Now there's a similar dynamic going on when Mercury is in Gemini. It will be at 4 degrees for 9 or 10 days. 4 degrees. It will be the same place for 9 or 10 days. Well, what is the number 4? The number 4 is structure. It's a foundation. It actually is stability. So even though that 4 degree is going to be in Gemini, there's a part of all of us that wants to build that structure, that solid foundation, that thing that we can count on, that thing that anchors us in life. So whatever it is that your heart's desire is, whatever you seeded during the solar eclipse in Taurus, whatever it was the thing that you want most, this Mercury retrograde is helping us to build, to refine, to create, to vision a solid foundation for a solid foundation, and to bring more success, more abundance, more beauty, more pleasures of life into our reality through that solid foundation. So as you are working with your vision during this Mercury retrograde time, you may very well have thoughts that are less than empowering come up. You may very well have doubts, self-doubt, inner critic kind of talking, feeling not good enough, feeling not worthy, feeling not deserving, or just some negativity that comes in that makes you question yourself. This is a beautiful use of Mercury retrograde, is to become aware of your thoughts, because Mercury rules our thinking. It rules our thought processes. And one of the things that a Mercury retrograde time can do is help us shift the way we're thinking, help us become the observer and observe where our thoughts are not empowering. We can shift our perceptions around what we feel we're worthy of, what we feel we deserve. And because we have so much time during this Mercury retrograde in Taurus, the last degree of Taurus, I think we're going to really be working with this. We're really going to be raising our perceptions of ourselves and our thinking around these themes of abundance, success, money. And I have a video for you on inner child healing, on reprogramming your mind and your thoughts to nurture your inner child when you are embarking on something new, when you're wanting to bring something new into your life or new out into the world. So I'll link to that below. That would be a super helpful video to watch during this time as you are raising your thoughts to the level of what you want to manifest. I want to give you a couple of quick tips on how you can navigate this Mercury retrograde with more grace and more ease. Then I'll tell you my favorite Mercury retrograde story, and we'll wrap up the video with a card reading. So slow down, pay attention. The couple of times that I have had mishaps with my laptop, with my iPhone, it's because I was not paying attention. I was not going slow, like when I spilled red wine on my laptop. And yes, that pretty much did my laptop in. Another time when I was walking on the beach and the tide came way up and I needed to run around some rocks, and I put my iPhone in my sweatshirt pocket and I start running around the rocks. Well, what happens? My iPhone flies out of my sweatshirt pocket and the ocean took it away. That was it. The ocean swallowed up my iPhone. There went $1,000. So, oh my goodness, those are the times that I have had. And I've really learned from those lessons. Like, pay attention when you are handling expensive devices. Pay attention to, are you around water? Are you around wine? Like, pay attention, take precautions. The other thing that I learned is God only upgrades. If you do have a loss, if you do have something happen that is very stressful, God is upgrading you. When I lost my iPhone to the ocean, I was actually really getting into photography and I wanted a better phone. I just wasn't going to splurge for it, but and I just got the chills. But by having the ocean take my phone and having to buy the next version, I got a much better camera from it. So God only upgrades. So now I'm going to tell you my Mercury retrograde story. And this story, I hope, will illustrate some of the magic that can happen during a Mercury retrograde time. What I didn't tell you about Gemini that I want to tell you now is that Gemini is not only associated with the Lover's card in the tarot. Gemini is always looking for their inner and outer lover, but also it's associated with the Magician card. The Magician has the ability to play with water, fire, air, and earth, all of the elements, and bring down the magic and create something into form in life. It's the master manifester, okay? So during this Mercury retrograde, we are in this manifestation process, this manifestation that we seeded with the solar eclipse in Taurus. Now, my story, it's a fun story. So way back when my former husband and I were having our 10th wedding anniversary, we took a cruise. We took a cruise to the Southern Caribbean. We left rainy, cloudy, gray Seattle, and we flew to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and we boarded this ship, Norwegian Cruise Line, 1,500 passengers, and we took our very first and only cruise. That's the only cruise I've ever taken. It was 7 ports in 7 days. So that's a whirlwind. By the time we finished that cruise, I was like laying in the airport on a bench. It was so tiring, but it was so much fun. So the first Mercury retrograde experience that we had was getting everybody to the ship so we could leave Puerto Rico and go into the Southern Caribbean. The weather was really bad all around the country. The captain of the ship decided to wait for everyone to get there. And that meant that we had to take a beeline down the ocean, down the center of the ocean, to get to our destination on time. Normally, a cruise ship will go more along the edge of the water, from what I'm told, is at least where it's more not as turbulent. We had to go like, let's just say that a lot of people got sick. A lot of people were seasick, and I was very fortunate. I did not get seasick, and I think it's because, one, I'm lucky, and number two, I was able to go with the flow. I literally moved my body with the way the ship was moving. On the dance floor that first night, we were literally sliding from one side to the next side because it was that tippy, and it was, I loved it, but you know, a lot of people got sick. Anyway, moving on. So the second thing that happened was when we got to St. Bart's, this beautiful French island of St. Bart's. It is so intimate and small that the ship cannot dock in the port. It has to put its anchor down way out, I don't know, half a mile, mile out, however far out, and ferry its passengers into the island. So we got ferried to the island. So we rented a Jeep with another couple, and we drove all the way around the island. We stopped at beaches, we swam, we had, you know, a very gourmet, beautiful, sumptuous lunch. And at the end of the day, we still had a little bit more time because the last boat, the last ferry that would pick us up and take us back out to our ship was coming at 5:15. So we had about an hour. We're like, let's have a margarita. We were right across the street from where we were going to go, you know, jump on the ferry and go back to the ship. And we went and got some perfume because it's like the perfume, it's a place to buy French for perfume. And so we did that. So we're walking across the street to get the last ferry out, and we see a sign there. And the sign says, last Norwegian Cruise Line, our cruise line, last ferry boat, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Okay, everyone looks at me because they're like, Betsy, you told us the last boat, the last ferry was 5:15. 5 o'clock. Well, you can imagine my heart, everything. It's one of those moments where everything sinks into your belly, right? Everything sinks down. I probably turned white. I could not believe it because they were all relying on me. None of them remembered exactly. And I was like, I know it's 5:15. I know it is. And I did know in my heart of hearts. He said 5:15. The captain said, everyone come back and know that the last ferry is 5:15. Well, as we were waiting and figuring out what the heck we were gonna do, because oh my God, what we were gonna do, 2 other couples showed up and waited with us. We weren't the only ones, thank goodness, we weren't the only ones who thought the last boat was 5:15. And however, as the 8 of us were waiting, we look out and we see the ship starting to move. It's starting to go away. Our ship is starting to leave. Oh my goodness. I can see it I can vision it right now. And yes, everything dropped even further down at that point. What did we do? We see a catamaran that's docked right there, right in front of us. And someone has the wherewithal to know that this catamaran guy, driver, I don't know what you call them, captain, he can radio our ship. So we're like, please, will you radio our ship and tell them that we're here, still here. We need to get picked up. We need to be taken to the ship. So he does that. And the captain responds back, and the captain says, how many people are there? How many are waiting? He tells them 8 people. He says, okay, we're sending a ferry. But he was mad. He's like, be prepared, you guys. That captain is so mad. So they send a ferry. They pick us up. They take us back to the ship. As we're getting closer to the ship, we see all the passengers. This is like 1,000+ people who are all looking over the edge to see who are those 8 people that missed the last boat. Who are they? So we climb up the stairs, very embarrassed, red in the face, all of that. Climb up the stairs, and the captain is waiting for us. And he says, you were supposed to be back at this time. You missed the boat. You did not follow instructions. You're lucky we came to get you. And meanwhile, I have Mars and Aries, so I have a fighter in me. So I was like, that's not how it was. That was the 5:15 was the last boat. And he looks at all of us and he goes, go to your rooms. So that's my Mercury retrograde story for you. I mean, it had all the elements of miscommunication, mishearing something, delays and all of that, but I got a great story out of it. So I hope you enjoyed that story. Now let's pull a card from the Mercury retrograde in Gemini and Taurus. Let's pull a card and see what the cards have to say. This is a time that we want to be as flexible as we can be, as open as we can be, and just try to go with the flow, like we had to on the ship that was rocking back and forth and just was like totally unexpected. The more you can go with the flow, the more you can enjoy yourself. And know that you're in a time of refinement. You're in a time of polishing the edges. Okay, so what do you have to tell us about this Mercury retrograde, Spirit? Oh my gosh, this is so perfect. So it's the World card. Wow, the World card. So you can see she's dancing, she is creating, there's music, there are musical instruments, there's like this, all of these different people. If you can see, these are all bodies that are connected to each other, and it's creating this circle of life. The World card is the 21st card, and it is a card of completion. It is when we've completed something and we're going back into the world to start our new dream, to start fresh, to it's just what you think when you think of the world. It's a card of adventure. It's a card of travel. It's a card of new horizons. So I don't know how much more I can say about this card. I feel like the story that I just told was almost an illustration of this card. This is saying, allow yourself to think expansively, to open up your world, to step out into new waters, to take chances, as Ms. Frizzle said on the Magic School Bus. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. The world is your oyster. The world is open to you. If you have any little glitchy things that are happening, or glitchy things that feel big, like my laptop having to do a whole wipe it off and start fresh. Well, this is a reset. This is a refresh time. This is a time that we are clearing the slate, that we are creating new things, and the world is waiting for you, my friend. The world is waiting for you. And I forgot to say, and I want to add this in for those of you who are not as familiar with Mercury retrogrades. Our minds work differently during a Mercury retrograde time. We're not as attuned to the details. We can miss the fine print. A lot of times new information comes to light about a specific situation after the Mercury retrograde shadow period, which will be June 19th. We see things in a different light. And because of that, it's not the best time to make big commitments, like buying big ticket items like cars or houses, or signing a lease, or just committing yourself to something long-term that has high stakes. It's better to wait until after Mercury retrograde, because we don't have all the information. We don't have all the information until the end of the period, generally speaking. I have bought a car once during the post-retrograde shadow period of a Mercury retrograde, and it did end up having some issues that I had to take it back to fix. So that's often the kind of thing, like if it was the last color of the car that I want, the last car of that color, and I really wanted it, so I took a chance. But if you can wait, if you don't feel like you absolutely have to, and sometimes that feeling of like, I need this now, is actually a red flag. It's like you're so emotionally involved that you can't see. It's like love is blind, right? You can't see the full picture. So that's why it's often better to wait if you can. If you liked this video, please take a moment to click like, give this video a thumbs up, to leave me a comment. Let me know what resonated for you in this video. I really want to thank you for your shares, for your subscribes. You are helping me build my channel. I'm so grateful for you. And make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And as I said, I have a free gift for you. It's a guided meditation returning home to yourself, returning home to your heart. And you can get that by going to my website and signing up for my inspirational updates, and you will get an instant download of my guided meditation, Returning Home to Yourself. If you'd like a personal reading, I would love to do a personal astrology consultation for you, with you, where I will help you to see your strengths, your gifts, your talents, your life purpose. And we can look at the current transits, how they're affecting you, and the future transits as well, going out to the next 6 months, the next year, and anything that you're going through right now that's difficult, that's challenging. I will give you some insight into that and how you can work with the energies to make the most of this time and to catalyze any healing that is up for you. So my beautiful friend, make sure you check out my offerings, including my coaching, on my website. And I will be back very soon with another video, a video on the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. And until then, I'm sending you all my love.